All honor, praise, and glory be to Yahweh Bashmi Shai, Wahako Dashwaka, Kalkaba Halal, Wahadar La, Yahweh Bashmi Shai, Wahako Dashwaka, which is to say that same phrase in the Hebrew. Peace and blessings to, or double honors to the apostles and the elders over at the great millstone who are well. Peace and blessings to you brothers teaching this truth across the four corners of the earth where we have been scattered to due to the breach of the covenant, aka contract, which was made by our forefathers, who, for any newcomers out there, yes, we proclaim ourselves to be the descendants of the biblical Israelites. All right, so to the rest of you believers out there of the Israelite nation, which consisted of so-called blacks, aka Negroes, and so-called Latinos and Native American Indians, all right, you women and children and friends of the prophets out there, Shalom. More proof natives are Israelites. Mounds. More proof natives are Israelites. Mounds. So I have an image pulled up right here. Really a ton of images. I'm not even gonna draw this out. Just want to get straight to it by the Spirit. But I'm gonna read some of it. It says Indian mounds of Wyalusing State Park. You got different types of mounds. You got conical mound, you got the linear mound, you got a Fiji mound, compound mound, but they're all mounds. Then you have something on here that's called the mound, or they deem it as mound builders. So it says when settlers first arrived in Wisconsin, which is where this is found at, this board we're reading, they found thousands of Indian mounds. Now, the thing is, you got this word called Indian, but it doesn't identify who the people truly are. And then you have these mounds. What's the point? You're gonna find out, hopefully, by the end of this lesson. Okay? Because these Indian mounds are proof that these so-called Indians are actually Israelites. This is more proof. So without any more further ado, let's go ahead and go into it. Let me see where I want to start. Because I have the history, I got some articles, and then I got some scriptures. So let me see. I just go by the Spirit. It's always good to start with a scripture. All right, so we start with the scriptures now. Because these mounds, they go back to the Israelites, man. All right, and even further back, they go back to pretty much a token of the creator of heaven and earth, because the creator, he deals with, mounds. So before I say any more, let me go ahead and get this. Genesis 31 and 48. I'm gonna start at. It's not gonna jump, so I'm about to jump. It says, and Laban said, this heap is a witness between me and thee this day. Therefore, you know what? I'm gonna start at 47. Because this is what was going on. I'm gonna start at 46 actually. And Jacob said unto his brethren, gather stones, and they took stones and made an heap, and they did eat there upon the heap. And Laban called it Jagar Sahaduta, but Jacob called it Gilead. And Laban said, this heap is a witness between me and thee this day. Therefore, the name of it is called Gilead. Okay, so this heap, what is this heap? Well, in the Bible, what you know today to be certain infrastructures by the so-called Indians, which will be mounds, right? Well, in the Bible, they're known as heaps. You're gonna learn they're known as heaps. They're known as citadels, and then they're known as milos or milos, right? So since I said that, right, I'm gonna go ahead, make sure I got that and get that out the way. And we're gonna go here. Let's go to let's look up that word mound, just to prove it real quick. Because when you look up the mound when you look up the word, when you look up that word heap in the Hebrew, it's not gonna necessarily say such. And I'm gonna do something real quick. Since I said that, let's go ahead and prove that real quick. So that won't even be on my mind anymore. So you got gall, right? So this is what it says for gall, right? Well, you can't hear it, but gall. It says just that. The word it gives us is a spring of water, plural waves. Billow, remember that word billow. And that's all it says. See, often used of ruins. That's what heaps actually go into, which we'll get in just a second. All right. So that's pretty much that. That's all it says, right? Now we're gonna look up that word billow real quick. Billow. It's a large, undulating mass of something. But they just say, you see, it says cloud, smoke, or steam. Right? Now, that's not true. Because if you just read between the lines, it's a large, undulating mass of something. Undulating. Let's look up that word adulting real quick. It's having a smoothly rising and falling form or outline. Now, you go back to these images, see these mounds? This is in Georgia. See? Very smooth, very round. These are special things, man. Special infrastructures. Now that sounds like that fit that, but guess what? It gets more specific. Because Esau, the so-called white man, he knows that the Native American Indians, this is the number one way you know that that Native American Indians are Israelites, by these mounds. It's a clear indication. See how smooth they are? Let's go back to that word, undulating. Having a smoothly rising and falling form or outline. Now that's kind of hard to see with it being something typically that's usually a cloud or smoke or steam. That's crazy. You see? So he tends to change certain meanings in that blue letter Bible. So that's why we got to get more specific. Now, let's just say you believe, okay, that's talking about a mound. Well, guess what? This goes all the way back to, let me jump up some. This goes all the way back to Jacob, right? Jacob was doing this, right? Okay, cool. Now let's fast forward, because the Lord said the thing that has been is that which shall be. For there is no new thing under the sun. Let's go ahead and get that real quick. This is Ecclesiastes 1:8. Matter of fact, 1:9. The thing that has been is that which shall be. You see? It's not going to be anything new. You're going to come back doing the same thing, because obviously we teach, well, I won't even go into that, you know, and that which is done is that which shall be done. And there is no new thing under the sun. You see, is there anything whereof it may be said, see, this is new, this is new. It had been already of old time, which was before us. Now let's go ahead and push, and let me go ahead and get this too. It say there is no remembrance of former things, neither shall there be any remembrance of the things that are to come with those that shall come after. Right? Now, let's say we believe that, right? This is 2 Samuel 5:9. It says, you know what? I'm going to start at 40. David was 30 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 40 years. Now let's jump up. You know, let me read all this. In Hebron, it said, in Hebron, he reigned over Judah 7 years and 6 months. And in Jerusalem, he reigned 30 years and 3 years over all Israel and Judah before the split, right? Because the split didn't come till after Solomon, which was manifested through Solomon's son, Rehoboam, which is going to be an important point in this lesson. But we just sticking on the point of, we believe that first part to be talking about Mounds, right? Well, watch this. I'm going to jump to the point. It says, so David dwelt in the fort and called it the city of David. And David built round about from Millo and inward. There go that word Millo. Now watch this. I'm going to read the scripture one more time. So David dwelt in the fort. So David dwelt in the fort. That fort is a word that goes into this word right here. That's a that's an abbreviated word for this right here. Salakia. See? The fortifications of ancient Israel and Judah. See that? All the way from 1200 BC to 586 BC. So that fort, it say David dwelt in the fort. And this actually looks like the fort of in the city of Kabet Kayafa. Which is, guess what? It's a heap now. But guess what? Heaps are known as mounds. But let's just stay on the point. So fort, it say David dwelt in the fort. You see something? You notice anything about this? So this would be a fort. It's a fortification. That's what fort is saying. Right? Now, we're connecting it to what Jacob himself did. So David dwelt in the fort and called it the city of David. And David built round about from Millo and inward. Okay? Now let's get that word Millo. The word right there is Malwa. Malwa. What does it say? See that? A rampart. It says Milo equals, which will be Malwa in the Hebrew. It equals rampart or mound. See that? It's also known as a place too. But Mawalium, which is how you would say Milo, Malwa being mound and yum making it plural, more than one, right? So Salakia. Malwayum would be that's more than one. But my point is that those Milos is actually talking about mounds, as you can see right here. Because when you jump down to B, it says a part of, listen, a part of the fortifications of Jerusalem. So that says David built mounds. Who else built the mound if you believe that the first scripture was talking about mounds, that heap? You see? And we're going to prove that's talking about mounds when we get this other definition. You see? And it say right here, the citadel. So mounds in the Bible is known as milos or milos. In the Hebrew, malwa or malwayim. And they're also known as you see, citadels. So David built that. He built mounds, man. So he did the same thing that his forefather did. Because there's no new thing under the sun. The chosen people of God understand the significance of mounds. These mounds, man. These malwayim. All right? It's a mound built up and filled in with stones and earth. So that's what David was having built, man. You see, it's a part of the fortification, a mound. A malwayim. A malwa. See? You just scroll through them. That's ancient Israel. That's what this is. See? Can't make this up, man. You know? You look up that word bilto, it says an undulting mass of something. And then that undulting goes into a smooth, rounded edge. See that? But we're going to keep going because it gets much more specific. This is all Israel, by the way. See, and it goes even further back because there is no new thing under the sun. See that? All the way back to Egypt. Now, before we go any further, so it got to be something special, godly about these mounds, man. You know? Because I don't want to make this too long. But it is not about what I want. All right? So what we're going to do is we're going to get, what do we get already? So we got mound. No, we got Milo. Did we get Milo? I don't think we got Milo. See that? The Milo, it was a structure in Jerusalem referred to in the Hebrew Bible, first mentioned as being part of the city of David in 2 Samuel 5:9. You see? Mounds. Mounds was David, an Israelite. See that? Now, really quick, I got a quick article proving this. Let's see. I think I got it. Nah, I didn't even got it pulled up. Not yet. All right, well, let's do this then. Let's do this right here. See? People know this. In Hebrew, Milo, from a root word meaning fill. The Septuagint translate it citadel. You see? Now watch this. This is how it reads. You see? And David began to build. So then 2 Samuel 5:9, then David took up the residence in the stronghold, and it was called the city of David. And David began to build all around from the mound inward. You see? So this is an Israelite thing, man. The Israelites did this. So I just wanted to get that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and flow real quick by the Spirit. Let's get that word citadel. What is a citadel? Oh, you see? Citadel. Citadel, a fortress typically on high ground protecting or dominating a city. Because we're going to go ahead and start tying this back to the so-called Native American Indians. Now, why do these people build mounds? Why? Well, one, they're the Israelites. Two, is different things that mounds represent. They represent, sometimes they can represent the burial ground. Sometimes they can represent pretty much order. The king will stay up there. Certain spiritual ceremonies will be done there. You could peep the city from there, you know? You see these, man? They're abandoned. No one goes out of their way to make stuff like this for no reason. And the only people we're seeing that actually made these things, guess what? Were the Israelites. All the way back to ancient Israel, man. See that? Same thing. The same exact thing, man. See? Now, well, I'll come back to this. You know what? Let me go ahead and go to this by the Spirit. So this is an article, pretty much, that I had. I won't, because pretty much they could possibly be. I won't get all the articles because it could possibly be a few more lessons going into like different aspects of this. But this is called Telatan or Egan. But it says it's a large 6 hectares mound in Israel's lowland. You see, the Shephelah at the edge of the Troll Valley, which separates the lowland from the Judean highlands, right? Because it's hierarchy. The Israelites understood hierarchy. Different classes. That's where you get that all comes from the ancient world. The thing is not new thing. You so-called hot middle class and the rich and the poor, that's not a new concept, man. That was going on in the ancient times. You see? Now, why is this important? Because if this was the Israelites were doing, well, the Israelites are said to be scattered now. But the Spirit bears witness. You know what? Let me get that. Just a quick side one. But the Spirit bears witness with our spirit. Romans 8:16. Might be 18. No, 16. The Spirit itself. What is the Spirit? John 6:63. It is the Spirit. See, that same Spirit that quickeneth. The flesh profited nothing. The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit, and they are life. See? So this word, this whole road, man. Yahushua said he come in the volume of the book, this whole Bible, the Holy Bible, man. From the Old Testament to the Apocrypha to the New Testament. That's the word, that's the spirit. The Holy Spirit, right? Salakia. Now when you go back, Romans 8:16, the spirit, so those words, these words, itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of God. That we are the children of God. You see that? So this is how we know, because we line up with what this says, man. And if there's no new thing under the sun, and Israelites, everyone has no remembrance of anything, right? For those, we teach reincarnation. If you don't believe in that, this is not for you, man. That the Bible, we teach what the Bible teach, the whole road, man. It's in the scriptures. But anyway, if there's no form of remembrance of anything, but yet there's no new thing under the sun, that means the Israelites will just die, come back, and keep doing the same things they always done. Because that's just who they are. So who built Mounds? We're finding out. The Israelites, King David, Jacob himself. You see? And they went on to be scattered, which we'll get in just a second. Due to, as I start the lessons off talking about, our forefathers breached the covenant. They broke the covenant, broke the deal with the Creator, made with the Creator, to where all their descendants, not only them, but all their descendants that come forth until, that come forth will be cursed, because that was the disclaimer. If you break the covenant, and one of the curses was us being scattered everywhere, man. And that happened through a series of events. This is Deuteronomy 28:64-15 to prove that real quick. So these mounds prove that these mounds are more proof that native Indians, so-called, are Israelites. It says Deuteronomy 28:15, but it shall come to pass. You know what? Gotta do it the right way. Deuteronomy 1:1. Because these curses weren't said to anybody else but the Israelites. These be the words which Moses spake unto all Israel. You see? These be the words which Moses spake unto all Israel. That means all Israelites. Right? Now when you go to the details of the contract, which is Deuteronomy 28:1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord, Yahweh, thy power, you see, just their God, just the Israelites' God, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day. Moses talking to the Israelites, all Israel, right? Every tribe, from the first tribe to the 12th tribe, right? Which I command thee this day, that the Lord Yahweh, thy God, power, will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. We know that's not possible. We know that's not the case, because you don't even hear about the Israelites anymore. They're lost. So obviously the Israelites didn't go on to do all his commandments. But it shall, verse 15, this is the other part of it. So if you do them, that's what you get. We're going to be above all nations. If you don't do them, let's hear about it. Verse 15, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord Yahweh, thy God, power, to observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. And the main curse I'm talking about is this curse right here, 64. And the Lord shall, because there's a slew of curses. From that 15 verse on down, you hear about what the curses will be, right? And this is one of them. And the Lord Yahweh shall scatter thee among all people. See? And the Lord Yahweh shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth even unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. So the whole point is the curse was said to the Israelites that they were going to be scattered. And that's what ended up happening, man. You know, to where everything we had, our land, our homeland we used to have, us being the Israelites building mounds and fortifications in Israel, Well, they just went on to build them in the new places they were scattered to, man, because they can do nothing else but be who they are. It might not be with the same understanding, tit for tat, but it's there. It's undeniable. Because the spirit bears witness with our spirit. So if you want to read about what the Israelites was doing, which we're doing now, and how they would be and what was, overcome them and what would befall them, or however you want to word it, you will just look up for, you'll see that, and then you will look around, because this is a real book. This is not a fairy tale book. You'll look around for people on the earth to see who matches that, man. So if I'm reading Israelites was building mounds, David was building fortified cities, with a part of the fortified city being a mound, a so-called Milo, or citadel, right? AKA in Hebrew being a malwa. I'll have to look on earth now, because I'm reading about that him being an Israelite, right? And using, his Israelite people to help do that, bring that forth. I'll have to look, because I'll have to look on the earth, look around, because this is not a fairy tale book, once again, and see who's building mounds. You see that? Who's doing it, man? Who doing it? Large Indian burial mound at the Cahokia site being destroyed. You see? And why is that? The truth about these mysterious Texas mounds will fascinate you. Because Esau, he knows, man. This dude knows. You see that? Cahokia. These grounds just didn't get like that. This is a spiritual science, if you will, understanding. This all go back to so-called Indians. Hopewell Culture National Historical Park. This is in Ohio. Native Americans abandoned Cahokia massive mounds. This is how it looks on the picture. Imagine in real life, man. Cahokia Mounds, Illinois. Pinson Mound State Archaeological Park, Pinson, Tennessee, Atlas. Etowah Indian Mounds State Historic Site, Georgia. Shrum Mound with images, Ohio, history, Ohio, Franklin County. Native American Temple Mound, Florida, state parks. See, temple mounds. Because they would do different things. These mounds, they go into different things. They're for burial grounds, spiritual ceremonies. You can go in them, because that's why I said a temple, to fill in. But over time, I'm sure that Esau covered them up. You see? The interest points. Then, you have certain infrastructures on top of them, as you see. But guess what? They all didn't stay like that in ancient Israel. But that proof of the scriptures being true, you can go to ancient Israel and find big mounds. You see, still standing. It's like, you see, it's ancient. It goes, those mounds that talked about the Israelites was building. So this book is real. See that? The so-called Native American Indians are Israelites, man. Period. See that? Look. You can't make that up. What did that look like? You go back. See that? On top of them, what I say by the Spirit, you have certain infrastructures, man. Boom. Same people. Don't you? This is America. Israel. America. America, Israel. You can just keep going back. Stuff all on top of them, man. Structures all on top of them. See that? People up there viewing. And it goes all the way back to Egypt. No new thing, man. We made Egypt, those mounds, those buildings, those infrastructures. We're the real builders. See? So you so-called Native American Indians, You know, so-called Latinos, Native American Indians, and blacks, all you are Israelites, man. But you so-called Native American Indians. I got, there's more in here. Just have to go back and show that, man. See, this is the Mississippians were the third mound building civilization. That's Mississippi. They lived in the Mississippi River Valley. They built huge mounds. Some mounds were as large as football fields. See? Come on, man. These are the Israelites, God's children. It's 1857. A mound. What's on top of it? Same thing you seen in Israel. A building. This is Israel. Come on, man. If you can't see it, you blind. It says Emerald Mound. Before you is the second largest temple mound in the United States. Only monk mounds, Cahokia, Illinois, is larger. This 8-acre mound, constructed from natural hill, was built and used from 13 to 16, from about 1300 to 1600 by the Mississippians. So that wasn't just a picture. This is not just a picture we're reading. Someone drew this. No, this is real life. You see? You can't make this up. It's this 8-acre mound constructed from natural hill was built and used from about 1300 to 1600, which makes perfect sense, because that's when, the northern, because this is Salakia, the Native American Indians are a part of the northern kingdom. Judah is a part. The southern kingdom is Judah and Benjamin, and then Levi was like, like they could be, wherever they wanted to be, but they're with Judah, because the temple was in Judah. Solomon's temple, the Lord's temple, man. It says, was built and used from about 1300 to 1600. So that's when it was stopped, because that's when Judah started coming in over to the Americas on those slave ships, so-called reportedly or documented by around that time. Not in heavy bulk, but that's when Esau started to see what he wanted to do, was mapping it out. But anyway, it say by the Mississippians, ancestors of the Natchez Indians. Them not Indians. Those aren't Indians. Those are the Israelites. Unlike dome-shaped mounds constructed only for burials, emerald mounds supported temples. So dome-shaped mounds were, it says, constructed only for burials. Emerald, because Esau studied our people, man. It says emerald mound supported temples, so you can go inside of them, ceremonial structures, and burials of a complex society's civic and religious leaders. See, United States Department of the Interior, whatever that says, somebody got rid of it, man. You see, the mound builders. The Israelites are the mound builders, man. When the first settlers arrived in Wisconsin, they found thousands of Indian mounds. Early reports indicate that at one time there were between 15,000 to 20,000 mounds in Wisconsin. It is believed that only 4,000 of those original mounds exist today. I wonder why, man. It says farming and development. It says while American Indians built mounds at various times and places throughout the Americas, only in the upper Midwest was there a culture that regularly built mounds that seemed to be in the shape of birds, turtles, lizards, bisons, gifted at doing it. It was doing it so long. It says, with no written records and few tribal stories and traditions, the origin and meaning of the effigy mounds remain a mystery. Really, mounds represent holiness, man. And our people understood that. I'm going to get some real quick. This is Psalms 15 and 1. It says a psalm of David. Lord, who shall abide in thy tabernacle? Who shall dwell in thy holy hill? You see? The Lord deals with hills, man. So mounds, hills, these things represent God, man. They represent the Creator. That's why people did them so heavily, man. For certain, and they had their uses. Let me get another one to back this up. This is Psalms 43 and 3. Oh, send out thy light and thy truth. Let them lead me. Let them bring me unto thy holy hill and to thy tabernacles. Because, okay, so we can kind of go into the history now. You know, let's get this. This is Micah 1 and 5. So mounds represent God, man. Those hills, those infrastructures represent the Most High, man. You know, it say Micah 1, and I'm going to start at 1. The word of the Lord, Yahweh, that came to Micah, the Morashite, in the days of Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, kings of Judah, which he saw concerning Samaria and Jerusalem. So that's the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. Hear all ye people, hearken, O ye Slakia. And Jerusalem also means the whole as well. So Samaria and everybody, right? It says, hear all ye people, hearken, O earth, all that therein is. And let the Lord God be witness against you, the Lord from his holy temple. For behold, the Lord, that temple, it say, for behold, the Lord Yahweh cometh forth out of his place, and will come down and tread upon the high places of the earth. Those mountains are very high. It says, and the mountains shall be molten under him, and the valleys shall be cleft, as wax before the fire. You see? And so you put some wax in front of a fire, what does it do? It melt, man. You know? You put some caramel in front of a fire, what's gonna happen? That's how he's saying those valleys and those hills, those mountains gonna be. It says, and as the waters that are poured down a steep place, it's just gonna fall right down like nothing, you know? Like it never had any form, because water don't really have a form. It can just take form. But anyway, verse 5, the transgression of Jacob is all this. Because this is directed to the Israelites, man. So the Israelites had those mountains, man. They had those high places. They had those valleys. He said he's going to bring them down. And for the sins of the house of Israel, the northern kingdoms, which consisted of Native American Indians. What is the transgression of Jacob? Is it not Samaria? That's the northern kingdom. And what are the high places of Judah? Are they not Jerusalem? Therefore, I will make Samaria as an heap of the field. You see? That's the point. And that's the plantings of a vineyard and as plantings of a vineyard. And I will pour down the stones thereof into the valley, and I will discover the foundations thereof. You see? So when you go back, how does Israel look now? It's finished. Exactly what he said. Heaps and those rocks brought down, man. They just heaps. That's it. Mounds. You see? And what happened? Just because they were brought down here, okay, he said he's going to scatter us. So once we was pushed out of Israel, once the northern kingdom was pushed out of Israel, they was going to go new places. And what they're going to always been doing, building mounds. So what was he going to have to do then? Because this is going to continue to be the case until the Lord lifts the curses, until he send Yahweh back, man. That's why all these high places of Israel, because these things, imagine if so-called Native American Indians was really on mounds and all the Israelites, we had our high places and fortified. Well, how are we losing? We don't even have our own land to do that anymore. Because when they were doing it, because they traveled from the northern kingdom, right, which we're going to get in a second, they traveled from Israel when they were scattered because they went into the Assyrian captivity, which Lord willing I can go back to. I should get it now, but they came over here and set up mounds, do what they was doing to Israel, and then what happened? So-called white man was used to take them down right again, man. So how do they look today? Empty. Large Indian burial at Mount Kohikia site being destroyed. See that? Those high places. That's the biggest mound, man. That's Kohikia. Is anybody there anymore? No, it's a tourist attraction, man. See? That is not Gad, man. That's not Robert Bond. That's not none of these tribes. That's not Reuben. See? Native Americans abandoned. Kohikia is massive. I wonder why it's abandoned. Because they the Israelites, man. He said he was going to bring these places down, man. They had to leave. Because it's taken over by the so-called white man who covet fields and lands, and he take them and by violence and oppress a man and his heritage, as the scriptures say. Right? And after they take them, they call the land after their own name. America is named after Amerigo Vespucci, who was a conquester, man. That's by the spirit, because a brother Kazak, he just made that him and the brother, forget the other brother name. He's a Gadite. The lesson that went over called the conquest of Yahushua. He gonna come take all this back, man. But the point of the matter is, this is just prove to you that this is more proof that the Native American Indians are Israelites, man. I haven't even got nowhere near none of my scriptures. So that's why he said in verse 6, therefore I will make Samaria. Samaria is today known as so-called Native American Indians and Latinos. Let's go ahead and go into that. This is, what is that? I believe is that 2 Kings 10? No, 2 Kings 12, Salakia. I'm gonna try to make this quick, man. I ain't gonna get all my articles. More than likely, I'm gonna just bring these scriptures out though. So this is, I'm in 1 Kings, Salakia. It's 1 Kings 12. And we're going to start at verse. We're going to go into the split real quick. So this is the history real quick, right? So this is I'm gonna start at 1. And Rehoboam went to Shechem. 1 Kings 12:1. And Rehoboam went to Shechem, for all Israel will come to Shechem to make him king. Verse 3. That they sent and called him, and Jeroboam and all the congregation of Israel came, and spake unto Rehoboam. You see, because Rehoboam became one king of that's Solomon's son. He was gonna rule over the whole nation, right? But he went on to do something to piss who was known today as the Northern Kingdom off. Because Solomon went off at the end of his days, and that's what they was coming to complain about him, like, can you fix things? And Rehoboam, he went off. So you can read that on your own, so I ain't gonna get all that. Now I'm gonna jump down to, so they were basically like, nah, we not doing that. I'm about to go crazy, And I'm going to start at 16. So when all Israel saw that the king hearkened not unto them, the people answered the king, saying, what portion have we in David? Neither have we inheritance in the son of Jesse. To your tent, O Israel. Now see to thine house, Salakia. Now see to thine own house, David. So Israel departed unto their tents. So that's where the split happened. So-called Negroes, which consists of so-called, really all you Native American Indians, Latinos, you Negroes too. But that's what the term that the Esau split amongst us. He only applied that to the African Americans, the people of the islands, as far as Jamaica, Haiti, you know. But then you got some Native American Indians that look like Negroes, that look like just like Negroes, even though we all look alike, what Esau projects to be the face of the Negro. You got Native American Indians that look, you can find Native American Indians that are identical to that same look. You can find Latinos that are identical to that same look, so-called Hispanics that are identical to that same look, man. But just so you can understand, so the house of Israel would just be so-called Latinos and Native American Indians, and the house of David would just be, at this point, right, so-called blacks, aka Negroes, Benjamin, Judah, and Levi, Haitians, Jamaicans, and just American Negroes, man. That's in America and scattered, and then the Negro that's scattered amongst everywhere else, Europe, Australia, But anyway, so that's them. And it's the split. But as for the children of Israel, which dwelt in the cities of Judah, Rehoboam reigned over them. So if you were so-called of the northern kingdom, right, at that point when that split pretty much happened, you was following the order of Rehoboam, because you're basically you're among the the southern kingdom. And it was a crazy beef, This was bad. All right. Then I'm gonna get it. Then King Rehoboam sent Adoram, who was over the tribute, and all Israel stoned him with stones that he died. Therefore, King Rehoboam made speed to get him up to his chariot to flee to Jerusalem. So Israel, we killed our own. People were that mad. King Rehoboam, Solomon's son, right, who's of the southern kingdom, king over the southern kingdom, Benjamin, Judah, and Levi, so-called Negroes, aka blacks, he sent a messenger, and the northern kingdom just stoned him to death. In verse 19, so Israel rebelled against the house of David unto this day. And it came to pass when all Israel heard that Jeroboam was come again, that they sent and called him unto the congregation and made him king over all Israel. So the northern kingdom, Jeroboam became the king over the 10 tribes. There was none that followed the house of David, but the tribe of Judah only. Right? Now, let's go ahead and go into this a little bit more. So this is 1 Kings 11:31. And he said to Jeroboam, take thee 10 pieces, for thus saith the Lord Yahweh, thy God of Israel. Salakia, the God of Israel. So everybody, behold, I will rend the kingdom out of the hand of Solomon, and I will give 10 tribes to thee. You see? That's the split. So Jeroboam, the northern kingdom is 10 tribes, and the southern kingdom is 3 tribes. Really 2, because Levi don't have an inheritance. They just go wherever they work. They like construction workers, but they mainly will be in Jerusalem, because that's where most of their work was being done at. Critical work. But anyway, but he shall have 1 tribe for my servant David's sake. So really 1 tribe. Well, yeah, let's say, and for Jerusalem's sake, the city which I have chosen out of all tribes of Israel. And that can be explained. We're just not going to go into that now. So if you got a question on it, you could just leave a comment or something. Maybe brother do it, a lesson on it, Or brothers, there's other brothers that, went into it as well. So that's that. So the Lord split the kingdom of Israel. Now, let me get, a couple more on that. So you know what? Let me jump to the point. This Hosea 5, because I don't want to keep this going, any longer. 5 and 9, but all this got to come out. Ephraim shall be desolate. Now, Ephraim is also another name for Samaria, aka the northern kingdom, aka the house of Israel. Ephraim. Ephraim shall be desolate in the day of rebuke. Among the tribes of Israel have I made known that which shall surely be. Now, when you look at Ephraim, aka the northern kingdom, which consists of so-called Native American Indians, all their places in which is known as let me try to think of what that was. I think that's let me see something real quick. Is it First Chronicles 20? Let me try Second Chronicles. Because Ephraim was so spiritual about it, why it's important. Ephraim is known as, which consists of so-called, which will consist of the so-called Native American Indians. Guess what? It's known as Mount Ephraim. Let's see. So a bunch of mounds. it was in the region. So it makes sense. Yeah, here it is. We get this. In 2 Samuel, Salakia. 2 Samuel 20 and 21. Now when you go into that word, it say, let me read it real quick. The matter is not so, but a man of Mount Ephraim, Sheba, the son of Bukhara, by the name, had lifted up his hand against the king, even against David, delivering him only, and I will depart from the city. And the woman said unto Joab, behold, his head shall be thrown down to thee over the wall. But anyway, when you go into that word Mount Ephraim, it's Har. It says hill, mountain, hill country. So in the region where the 10 tribes was living at was nothing but mounds. See that? A mountain. When you go into the Jacenius Hebrew Chaldea lexicon, it say a mountain. Right? It often means a mountain tract of country. The mountainous district of the tribe of Judah. The mountainous district of Ephraim. Because we had all these mounds, these big hills, because it represent God, man. They're holy, which I already went into. That's what he deals with. But it was tons of them. It's known, Ephraim, the land of the region where the 10 tribes was living at, Mount Ephraim, right? It's known as a mountainous district. Bunch of mounds and high places, etc. So now you got to ask yourself, with that being said, why was these people? Early reports indicate that at one time there were between 15,000 to 20,000 mounds in Wisconsin. Explain that, man. You know? And they're constantly decreasing because they were the Israelites. They're from Mount Ephraim. That's what they're used to. So that's what they came over here and built, man. Let me go ahead and get my next scripture, going back into that, because now we flowing. Hosea 5 and 9. Okay, that's that. So he said Ephraim gonna be desolate. So that means when you read this, so if there's a, he said Ephraim was going to be desolate. So when you go back to Ephraim, Salakia, video cut off on me. It's desolate, man. This is ancient Israel. And they were actually gone, because this is well before, because it says 1,000, was it 1,000 to 600 BC. Well, I ain't even gonna quote that right now. But this is exactly the promises said to Ephraim fulfilled, man. Right? So Ephraim was gonna be a desolation. So now you gotta ask yourself, as it says on here, was that also further fulfilled in the future to Ephraim? Because it says early reports indicate that at one time there were between 15 to 20,000 mounds in Wisconsin. It said it is believed that only 4,000 of those original mounds exist today. Farming and development have destroyed the rest. So how does farming and development destroy? You see that? No, they were destroyed, man. Conquered and destroyed and used for what the so-called white man wanted them to be used for. And the Lord allowing you so-called Native American Indians to be subject to that, because you are the children of the Israelites. You are the Israelites. You are the ones who broke the covenant. You are the ones breaching the contract. So Ephraim is now being made desolate, man. Mount Ephraim. See, the mountainous district. It says, let's see. And there's so much on this sign, too, that you could read. But anyway, the land that is now in Wyalusing State Park had 107 so-called Indian mounds in 1848. Today, the park has 64. You see? So the Lord is fulfilling that promise, man. He's not playing with you so-called Native American Indians. Now listen to this. It says around 750 years ago, the mound builders stopped constructing mounds. Desolation, you see? No one knows for sure, but archaeological evidence suggests a major cultural transition at the time. No, that's not what it says, man. Hosea 5 and 9. Ephraim, which is the 10 tribes, man. Another name for the 10 tribes. The 10 tribes can also be known as Ephraim, Samaria, the house of Israel, right? But at this part, the Lord wants to address you as Ephraim. In the Hebrew, it will be Aparayam. Aparayam, right? Ephraim shall be desolate in the day of rebuke. Let's get that word desolate. You know? So when you look at ancient Israel, Aparayam, Ephraim, 10 tribes, the northern kingdom is desolate. They traveled after the split. They actually went into captivity after the split to the Assyrians. And Judah, the southern kingdom, stayed, man. So desolate, Shema. Waste, horror, appallment, a waste of land, city, etc. See that? Astonishment, desolate, waste, ruin. See, that's those the heaps, because it said heaps are usually inferring ruin, ruins. So when you look at them, the Lord kept his word, man. From 107 in 1848 to today, 68. You know, and what did Esau make them today? Golf courses. See that? He made them. That's the development. It ain't just farming. The development is also going into you coveting their fields, their land, and you building on top of them, which is against the law. So the so-called white man's gonna be punished for this, putting your little communities around them. You know, let me get that real quick, man. This dang devil. You know, see, somehow you make it educational about it always point back to Esau. Somehow. Habakkuk 3:1. We're gonna prove this talking about you. What is that? Now I can't even think of the scripture. Is it Nahum? Nope. Give me 1 second. Let me just search it. Can't even think of it off the top of my head right now. You know? But this is talking about the so-called white man. Micah 2:2. You know, I'm starting at 1. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. And they covet fields and take them by violence and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man in his house, even a man in his heritage. You see? You know? But that's the so-called white man being used by the Most High. I could tell you in verse 3 that, therefore thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, against this family do I devise an evil, from which ye shall not remove your necks, neither shall ye go haughtily, for the time is evil. You know? And so with that being said, let's go straight into it. So-called white man covered that land, you know, and he turned it into a dang golf course. He oppressed the man in his heritage. And the Lord said he was going to bring that evil. So it's completely desolate. Ephraim is completely desolate. See? So-called white man, he want to hit a little ball into a hole. You see? He put his flag there to let you know you've been conquered. And he made it into a game called golf. See? You can't make this up. Aren't these mounds? Aren't these heaps? There he is. See? And you can't even get back in on him because he charges people $30,000 to $60,000 a year just to be a part of a golf club, a country club is what he calls it. This dang thief, man. They covet lands and take them and name them after their own names. You know, let me go ahead and get that too before I go into the rest of this. And that'll be it after this. I got like probably a few more scriptures. Their inward thought, 49:11 Psalms. Their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. How do they get their dwelling places? By stealing them, by coveting. He wanted America. He's seen the usefulness that the so-called Native American Indians and Latinos, which were the 10 tribes who sailed over here, which we'll get in just a second. He's seen the usefulness, resourcefulness they made out of it, man. The fertileness of the land, etc. The infrastructures they built over. Everything was set up. And he wanted it for himself greedily. That's what covet goes into, man. Being greedy of something that is not yours, man. And their dwelling places to all generations, stolen lands from you so-called Native American Indians who are the Israelites, which this weren't really your land anyway. You just You came over here to take a break, so-called, right? They call their lands after their own names. What is America? What is this place, this landmass named after? It's named America after Amerigo Vespucci. You see that? But what was it before he came? Whatever the Native American Indians, Latinos were calling it. And I say Latinos because Mexico is a part of this. But anyway, let's go ahead and go straight into it so I can close this out. This is Hosea 8:9. It say, "For they are gone up to Assyria as a wild ass alone by himself. Ephraim had hired lovers." See? Because they went into Assyrian captivity, ultimately. That's a quick scripture, because I don't want to have to go into that too much. Why? It say Hosea 5:5, "And the pride of Israel doth testify to his face." And the pride of Israel doth testify to his face, the northern kingdom. "Therefore shall all Israel and Ephraim fall in their iniquity. Judah also shall fall with them." Because we came after. Y'all came over here. Y'all went into the Syrian captivity. And after that, it was so bad, you left the land. The Lord just put you out of his sight, as he said, man. This is Hosea 10 and let's see. That's heavy. Hosea 10:1. Israel is an empty vine. Anyway, it say yep. It shall also see the inhabitants of Samaria, man. The inhabitants of Samaria shall fear because of the calves of Bethaven, for the people shall mourn over it, and the priests thereof that rejoiced on it, for the glory thereof, because it is departed from it. It shall also be carried unto Assyria for a present to King Jareb. Ephraim shall receive shame, and Israel shall be ashamed of his own counsel. You see, as for Samaria, her king is cut off, as the foam upon the waters. The high places also of Avon. The sin of Israel shall be destroyed. The throne, the thistle shall come up on their altars. And they shall say to the mountains, cover us, and to the hills, fall on us. You see, Israel, O Israel, thou hast sinned from the days of Gibeah. They stood. The battle of Gibeah against the children of iniquity did not overtake them. It is in my desire that I should chastise them, because he didn't cast you off forever. This is your whooping. You had to get your butt beat. So you went into slavery and captivity. So-called the northern kingdom consisted of the so-called Native American Indians and Latinos, man. Y'all the people who went into the Assyrian captivity, because y'all was going off, and it was more y'all than us. Y'all was 10 tribes. 10 of the tribes of Israel went into the Assyrian captivity. It says, "And the people shall be gathered against them, and when they shall bind themselves in their two furrows, and Ephraim, Salakia." So that's it. Now, what I passed, he said he's gonna put a yoke. He said he's gonna put a yoke. Yup, is it? It say Hosea 10:11, "And Ephraim is as an heifer that is taught, and loveth to tread out the corn. But I pass over upon her fair neck. I will make Ephraim to ride, Judah shall plow, and Jacob shall break his clods." But that's going into, man, where is that scripture at? That's not even the one I wanted. He said he was going, you know what? Since we here, I just got to get it. Nah, that ain't it. Yoke upon. And that's pretty much gonna be it after this. I'm gonna get the y'all selling over here, and that's gonna be it, man. Yo, of course this day gonna act like it has no clue what I'm talking about. You know, you look up that word Citadel. Yoke upon our fair neck. Damn, did I miss it? I sure didn't just read that. Let's see, 10 and 11. Did I skip over it? Nah, that don't even say that. Let me see, man. Something not right? Hosea 10 and 11. Yeah, Ephraim is a well-trained heifer that loves to thresh, but I will place a yoke on her fair neck. I will harness Ephraim. Judah will plow and Jacob will break. See? That's that yoke, man. You gonna work, man. You gonna be put in slavery. That's what the Lord was saying, man. And that's what happened. Now, you know what? I ain't gotta go there. Let me just go here. KJV Apocrypha. And then that's gonna be it, man. You know? So if all this stuff is said in the scriptures, you gotta look on the earth and see who's fulfilling these things, man. You know? This lesson's been on my spirit for some time now, so it's about time it came out. So this second Ezra 13, and we'll start at 40. It says, those are the 10 tribes. Second Ezra 13 and 40. Those are the 10 tribes which carried away prisoners out of their own, which were carried away prisoners out of their own land. I really could have just came straight to this. In the time of Hosea the king, whom Shalmaneser, the king of Assyria, led away captive, and he carried them over the waters with see that yoke of iron. See that? And he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land. But they took this counsel among themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt, because you thought you can escape the curses. So where's that place where man never dwelt? The New World, the Western Hemisphere, America. Solomon was sending men over here, man. That's how they knew how to find it. That they might keep their key word, that they might keep their statues. Slaki, that they might keep their statues, which they never kept in their own land. And they entered into the Euphrates by the narrow places of the river, for the Most High then shewed signs for them. So he did wonders and held still to flood till they were passed over. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half, and the same region is called Arsareth. You see, and they dwelt, and then dwelt they there until the latter time. That's the last days. And now, when they shall begin to come, you see, that's that, man. So that's pretty much it, you know. So Mounds is just more proof that, you know, Native American Indians are Israelites, man. You know. They're used for abundance of things. You know, this is, you know, so-called Mayan society. And I got this real quick. So when you look up that word mound, right? They say a ball. This is in the Bible Hub. This is from the concordance. A I believe this is the Webster's Revised Unabridged Dictionary. A ball. So mound is in the Bible. It's just known as citadel, it's known as Milo, and it's known as heaps. All right? Mounds. Israelites built mounds all day, every day. And now they're made heaps. I didn't even get all my scriptures. You know? But that's going to be it, man. A ball or globe forming part of the regalia of an emperor, you see, or other sovereign. It is encircled with bands enriched with precious stones and surmounted with a cross called also a globe. It says, so, because that's how I said in the beginning, mounds can represent many things. A ruler can live on top of the mound, and he directs the city. And I believe I had a scripture that point that out. Let me see if I can find that real quick, just because I mentioned it, you know. Because if you want the edification, hey. And then this is for you Native American Indians who don't know you Israelites. You run into this video, you're going to get all the scriptures you need. You're going to get the word, man. You know? You're going to get the spirit. This is 2 Kings 19 and 25. Let's see. Well, I ain't even going to call them because I don't want to. You know what? I'll make that another lesson. Mounds were prophesied to become heaps. You know, something like that. So let me keep searching until I get the one I'm actually looking for. You know, you can't do it all in one sitting, so I'll just keep coming back until, you know, Lord willing. And that'll be it, man. Lord willing, it's been edifying, man. This is Ezekiel 6 and 1. Ooh, this is, man. I think, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to get this because it go perfect. So it's a ball, globe forming part of the regalia of the emperor or other sovereign. Sovereign represents the person with power. You see, it is encircled with bands enriched with precious stones and surmounted with a cross called also a globe. Well, this is Ezekiel 6 and 1. And the word of the Lord, Yahweh, came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face toward the mountains of Israel and prophesied against them. So is that talking about, okay, let's keep going. And say ye, Salaki, and say, ye mountains of Israel, hear the word of the Lord power. Thus saith the Lord power to the mountains and to the hills, you see, to the rivers and to the valleys. Behold, I, even I, will bring a sword upon you, and I will destroy your high places. You know, and your altars shall be desolate, and your images shall be broken, and I will cast down your slain men before your idols. What's those idols? What's those things? Those totem poles, man. You see? And I will lay the dead carcasses of the children of Israel before their idols, and I will scatter your bones round about your altars. Now, that's spiritual because I got this article right here, which I said I wasn't going to get, but it goes into these people, these Edomites, they found the mound, and they realized it was a burial site. They say on Memorial Day, which we recently observed, we honored those who died while serving in the U.S. military, and we often remember our own families' members by visiting cemeteries and placing flowers on their graves. The place where a man is buried is sacred to me. The prophet Joseph Smith said, this is the dude who created the Mormons. He's not a prophet. It says he's a false prophet. Each cemetery forms a chapter in history of our human past. What about burial sites from many years ago which have no visible markers and are hidden from view? Salaki, what about burial sites from many years ago, which have no visible markers, tombstones, and are hidden from view. Centuries ago, the Hopewell culture flourished in the central and eastern North America. It's a Hopewell people lived and farmed along the Mississippi River, see? And many chose bluffs along the river to build earthen mounds to bury their dead. A group of these mounds is located along the Mississippi River of the Nova. Some 40 years ago, many of the mounds were attacked by looters seeking artifacts. What did it say that is located inside of those mounds when you go into that the mound on here? It said it is encircled with bands, enriched with precious stones, and surmounted with a cross, called also a globe. So Esau, he read this Bible, man, and he know it is Israelites. Later, and who's those looters? The covetous man, the so-called white man. It say later the area became neglected. You see, desolate. There you go, man. And brush, brambles, and dead trees concealed these burial spots. Now, more than likely, because I don't want to keep reading, you can find this article yourself. It's called latterdaysaint.mag article. You got to put it in. There you go. You know, it say, I'm going to jump down and say, she felt they had stepped on sacred ground. One is struck by the serenity and spirituality this place evokes. Jenny Curley said, it is like being in another time and place. You see? Because those are Israelite bones, man. Because that's the only thing that's left there. So they cleaned the place up. That's what this article go on to say. You see? And the place, you know what the project is called? Joseph and the Curleys make plans. It's called Eagle Project Proposal. Woo, man. Throughout these years, these sacred grounds, I'm in the middle of the paragraph, have been pillaged and vandalized, Joseph wrote in his project proposal. To honor the deceased, Joseph chose to restore several mounds to their original appearance by refilling them with dirt. You see? Esau has just been messing with everything. He noted that the beneficiaries of this project would be Native Americans of the Standing Bear Council, as well as the surrounding communities when their area becomes a public archaeological park. See? Bones, man. You probably got little Edomite kids finding bones, you know? And that's what the Lord said. And there go, you know? And then you got a lot of Edomites that fake that like they're Israelites. They're so-called Native American Indian. They call them $5 Indians, man. You know? So what did he say? Ezekiel 6:4, and your altar shall be desolate, and your images shall be broken, and I will cast down your slain men before your idols, and I will lay the dead carcasses of the children of Israel before their idols, and I will scatter your bones round about your altars. You know, so spiritual body, he said he's going to lay your bodies, the children of Israel bodies, in front of their idols. Well, we went into slavery under who? To serve the so-called white man. Because you was idolizing him. You wanted to do everything he wanted to do. So now they're standing in front of your bodies now, man. He said, and I will scatter your bones round about your altars, those mounds. And in all your dwelling places, the city shall be laid waste, and the high places shall be desolate. You see? They when it became abandoned, etc. As this article is saying, that your altars may be laid waste and made desolate, and your idols may be broken and cease, and your images may be cut down, and your works may be abolished, and the slain shall fall in the midst of you, and ye shall know that I am the Lord, Yahweh. You see? So you get the next mention. It says, an artificial hill. Why does it say artificial? Because when you go into the word artificial, it's going into artifice. Artificer is a smith, which is someone who's a craftsman. So it just means made by humans, you know, which we can get real quick. Artificial, it just means it's not natural. It's made by humans, you know. It's not like a natural occurrence. You see, artificial, made or produced by human beings rather than occurring naturally, especially as a copy of something natural. See? Now, going back, it says a raised bank, an embankment thrown up for defense, because that's what the mounds will go into. They will be for defense, because you can watch and see over the city. The king, the dude that had the Israelite, the Native American Indian that had the sovereign power, going all the way back to when we actually still called and remembered ourselves to, or knew ourselves to be Israelites. David, he would look on top of the mound, or he had men do it. Solomon, etc. A rampart, you see, a natural elevation appearing as if it's thrown up, artificially. It's a regular and isolated hill, rock, or knoll to fortify. See, those fortifications, those forts, are enclosed with a mound. You know? So yeah, that's pretty much it, man. If you can't see it by the end of this, I don't know what's wrong with you. I do know what's wrong with you. You know, you're not of the Lord's sheep, you know? It's just that simple, man. This is the one I was looking for. I'll close out with this. Jeremiah 31:20. Is Ephraim my dear son? Is he a pleasant child? For since I spake against him, I do earnestly remember him still. You so-called Native American Indians. Therefore my bowels are troubled for him. I will surely have mercy upon him, saith the Lord. You gonna come back, man. You finna get these people who did what they did to you, these so-called white people, and everybody that had plans, a plot, or was invested in the overthrowing of you so they can reap of the benefits of America, and he's gonna destroy them. And we're going back to Israel. And if you don't adhere to this and hearken back to the Lord, hearken to the words of what we're giving you, this word, man, in its entirety, you're gonna be destroyed. But anyway, set thee up waymarks. Make thee high heaps. You see? That's what you went and did, man. So my point of bringing that second Ezra 13 and 40 out, when they left Assyria, they went to the place that no man ever dwelt, the new world, man. And they went and did everything they was already doing, man. And the Lord told them to do, he said, set thee up waymarks. Make thee high heaps. What is a high heap? Set thine heart toward the highway, even the way which thou wentest. Turn again, O virgin of Israel. Turn again to these, thy cities. You see? So that's that, man. What is a waymark? Signpost, monument, market, a monumental guiding pillar. Because they understood that the king was to live on that, the man that knew what was going on. Because people will come to it, they will come to the mound for direction. Certain mounds would be for burial ground. Certain mounds would be to watch over the city. Certain mounds would be to come to hear what the chief had to say. You see, when you go into the Jacenius Hebrew Chaldee lexicon, Sippus, a pillar, so called from its being, set up, erected. Whether sepulchral, a sepulcher is a tomb, is basically a grave site. So sepulchral, or sepulchral, or to shew the way. You see, that's what the mounds was used for. So Lord willing, this has been edifying, man. See that? All the people will go to the mound, man. Top men will stay at the tops. They will stay on top of the mounds, and everybody else would be, you see, lower. Because it's hierarchy, man. The Lord just set up certain, certain spirits, certain ways, to where it worked perfectly. We got everything we need. It works better for the type of person you to be down here, and for these men to be up here, or this man to be up here, you know. Proper running civilization. See? But now there are heaps, as he promised, because you forsook the Lord. And that's how you know the Native American Indians are Israelites. All right? So Lord willing, it's been edifying, man. We give all honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shah, Wahakodash Wakah, Kalkubah, Halal, Wahadar, Allah, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shah, Wahakodash Wakah. Shalom.